Yesterday Bitcoin saw a huge dump to the $67,000, and this was exactly what I was discussing in my video of yesterday, because we can see this huge bearish divergence was playing out like clockwork. We're also seeing Bitcoin getting rejected by huge resistance, but there's nothing much to worry about because Bitcoin is still in this huge uptrend. In today's video I'm going to have a look at several time frames for Bitcoin, because there's a lot of interesting price action happening. I'm also going to have a look at the two altcoins Ethereum and Dogecoin, but about that later in the video. There's also a lot of interesting data coming into the market, and especially for the Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETFs. So watch this video all the way to the end, like the video, and let's dive right into the charts. As I was saying yesterday in my video, I discussed this huge bearish divergence for Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. And on my socials I was warning you about this huge bearish divergence and that we could see a drop for Bitcoin in the coming day, because the buying pressure was a little bit cooling off, and that means that we could see a huge drop for Bitcoin later that day. And that's especially what Bitcoin did yesterday. We saw that the RSI was cooling off because the buying pressure was cooling off, and we saw the sellers were stepping into the market, which caused a huge dump for Bitcoin, and we came all the way to the $69,500, but now we came back to the $67,000, and we're now holding strong on this level. So this was something for Bitcoin that was very clear yesterday, and I've been warning you about this potential dump, so you could have taken some profit at this topside region, because that is especially what I did. And yesterday the Bitcoin ETF saw some huge numbers again, but this was all caused because BlackRock was buying like crazy. They bought for $329 million, so this was insane of course, and a lot of other Bitcoin ETFs were selling. So eventually the total inflow was $294.3 million, so this was insane of course yesterday. So let's see if we can see another huge day today, and we are seeing a continuation of this spike to the top side, and we're now coming to a huge interesting number around the $21.3 billion of total cumulative inflow. So this is an insane number of course. So let's see if today all the other ETFs are going to buy again, because we want to see more and more inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs, which will have a very interesting effect on the price of Bitcoin. And if we have a look at this daily chart for Bitcoin with horizontal levels that act as support and resistance, we can see that Bitcoin came to this region around the resistance level around the $69,500. So this is a very interesting resistance area for Bitcoin to break, but we can see in the past a lot of price interactions with this level. But for now, this level is a little bit too strong, as we can see here. So we see a little bit of a rejection now. And also this huge resistance area around the $68,000 is also a little bit too strong. So we're coming back to this previous support around the 66.5k, and this holding strong for now. So we could potentially see a drop again to this level, and then we can just aim for higher targets, and that would mean that Bitcoin will still be in a huge uptrend on a daily time frame. So this $66,500 is the next big support for Bitcoin, and I'm going to buy more Bitcoin at this region, because in an uptrend I'm going to buy every dip for Bitcoin, because we're still in a huge uptrend. And after a huge run for Bitcoin, it is always very healthy to see a little bit of a retracement to test previous resistance levels as support. And as we can see here, we can see a huge trendline resistance was unfolding on the daily time frame. We can see multiple highs here, but every time we saw lower highs. And now Bitcoin is creating this higher high, and we're breaking this huge downtrend to the top side. So it could be very healthy to see a retest of this previous resistance to turn it into support. And from there we could potentially see a bullish retest and then aim for higher targets. So if we're going to come back all the way to this level, and that will be around the $64,500, then you could potentially enter the market for Bitcoin in the long, or just for the long term. And that's especially what I'm going to do, because if we're going to retest this as a bullish retest, then I'm very much interested in buying more Bitcoin for the long term. And of course, if we're going back to this level, Bitcoin will still make a higher low play on the daily chart, and that would still mean that we're in a huge uptrend to the top side. So the bullish momentum to the top side can just continue. So if we're coming back to this retest, I'm going to buy more Bitcoin, and then we can aim for higher targets on a daily time frame. And yesterday we had some interesting news coming in. The cryptocurrency donations for the 2024 US elections surpasses the $190 million. So that is insane of course. And this means that the presidential elections are funded by crypto. And we can see that the presidents of the United States needs crypto in order to become a president. So this is bullish to see. I don't think that Bitcoin don't need the presidents, but I think that the president of the United States needs Bitcoin. And we can now see that Trump is leading the polls with almost a 27% lead. So this is very bullish. And of course, we know that Trump is a little bit more pro-Bitcoin than Kamala Harris. So if Trump is going to become president, we all know that Bitcoin is going to pump straight away to the 100K. And if we then have a look on the daily time frame for Bitcoin, we can also see this broadening wedge occurring for Bitcoin. We can see multiple touch points on the top side as resistance, and we're coming back to this huge top side resistance. So this is the make or break point for Bitcoin. And if we're going to break to the top side, then we also can see a break of this huge previous trendline resistance, and that would be very bullish, of course. And if we break it to the top side, we can continue the top side momentum for Bitcoin, and then we could potentially see a retest of this resistance as support and then aim for higher targets. And then the road to the previous all-time high will be open. And if we then have a look on the weekly time frame, we can also see that Bitcoin last week broke out of this huge bull flag formation to the top side, and we saw a beautiful candle close above this huge resistance area on the top side. And we could potentially see a throwback to this previous resistance to turn it into support, and from there we can see a bullish retest and then aim for higher targets. So it looked like this bull flag is breaking out, and the breakout target of this bull flag will be around $108,000. So this is an insane target for Bitcoin, of course. And in the coming weeks, we could see an exponential move happening for Bitcoin. And the first interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Ethereum. On the daily chart, we can see that Ethereum broke this huge resistance area to the top side. So this resistance area can be turned into green because we're also turning it into support, which is very, very bullish. So let's see if Ethereum can separate itself from this area and come to this next big resistance on this daily time frame, which will be around the $2,900. And this will be a very interesting place to take some profits for me, because I've been buying on this lower side region, as I've been telling you about on my socials. And if we then have a look at the Ethereum ETF inflows of yesterday, we can see a little bit of an outflow of $21 million of Ethereum. So this was a little bit more bearish, but this was all because Grayscale was selling like crazy. BlackRock was buying, the Van Eck ETF was buying. So let's see if today can be another bullish day for the Ethereum ETFs, because it also helps with the price of Ethereum. And if we then have a look at another Ethereum chart on the daily time frame, we can see that Ethereum was in this huge price compression. We can see this consolidation formation unfolding with multiple touch points on the top side as resistance, and also we saw multiple touch points as support on the lower side. So in the weekend we saw a huge breakout for Ethereum, and now we are retesting this previous resistance as support. So this could mean that we're going to see a bullish retest and that we can aim for higher targets. And as I was saying, the top side of this formation will be confluent with the breakout target, and that will be around the $2,900. And that will also be confluent with a huge resistance area on the daily time frame, as I was saying in the earlier chart. So this could be a very interesting trade for Ethereum to make. And from this bullish retest to the next big resistance, you could potentially make more than a 10% increase. So this could be a very beautiful trade to make on Ethereum. And the next interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Dogecoin. We can see that Dogecoin is now breaking this huge resistance area to the top side on the daily time frame. And this previous levels are acting like huge resistance, because we can see a lot of interesting price action happening around this level. So this is a very bullish break for Dogecoin. So we could potentially see a throwback, retest this previous resistance as support. From there we can aim for higher targets. And this huge falling wedge formation on the daily time frame was occurring a couple weeks ago, which we broke out of. But the breakout target of this huge falling wedge formation hasn't reached yet, and that will be confluent with the top side of the formation, and that will be around the 20 cents for Dogecoin. So if Dogecoin is going to see a retracement back to this previous resistance to turn it into support, you could enter the market from here for Doge, and then you can aim for higher targets, and then we can aim for the top side of the formation. And from there, you could potentially see a 55% increase of your trade. So this could be an interesting trade for Dogecoin to make. And if we're coming all the way back to this level, I'm going to take a lot of profits, because this will be a very interesting resistance level for Dogecoin. And let me know in the comments if you still hold Dogecoin in your portfolio, and if you're still bullish on Dogecoin for this next bull run. So please give a like if you find this video useful. Don't forget to follow me on my other socials, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.